All right, we are live for the first time. Sit here and let the room fill up. Yes, I smoke. Is one of the vices that I still have to kick. And the Father willing, I will take care of that. So, yeah, I decided I would go live tonight and say hello and meet the peoples and have conversation. And we can talk about whatever. What's up, Mitz? Welcome. Shalom, Norma. How's everyone this evening? We'll see how well this works out. I'm running a hotspot, so questions are always welcome. We can talk about the word. We can talk about chickens. We can talk about gardening. We can talk about motorcycles. Oh, well, thank you. Pardon my vices. Here, I'll be more professional. How's everybody doing tonight? Need to sweep the floor and stay busy? There's nothing wrong with that. Staying busy is good. I'm always busy. My wife complains about it. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can't smell the smoke there. Yes, it's one of the vices that I still have. It derived from boredom and socially accepted norms when I was in the military. You know, we'd stand around as soldiers and shoot the breeze and smoke cigarettes. And yeah, you know, yeah, I don't know about that getting too old. I mean, I still stay up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, get up at like 7 and get after it. You know, get the kid done with his chores so that he can get on to his schooling. So, have y'all been catching the Proverbs of the Day recordings? Putting the wisdom into application? Or at least doing your own reading? I did Genesis 1 here a few days ago, and I've been meaning to record Genesis 2, and I have been busy. Shalom, Kermode. Sounds like my wife and son are out putting chickens away and feeding the cats. I haven't gotten permissions to do a live stream from my mobile device through YouTube yet, so we're gonna hang out in the camper and talk. Anything anybody wants to talk about? I've noticed in the Signal chat there's a whole lot of conversation about relationships, marriage. Shalom, Desert Jack. Just wing it like a chicken. Oh, that was funny. So I went out to put birds away last night, and all my guinea fowl were sitting on top of their coop, which would have been great if the owls hadn't increased their activity in the area. So, yeah, I had to figure out how to get them down off of the coop and put them away. I was successful. I mean, the coop is a little tiny metal cage, but it's like 7.5, 8 feet tall. So you just pick it up and shake it, and the birds fall off. I was in the military, in the Army. I served in transportation in the infantry. I did 2 tours with the infantry. Your son wants to be an Army MP. Well, if he's doing it so he can be a cop afterwards, tell him not to, because the way the military does law enforcement and the way law enforcement does law enforcement is entirely different. But if he wants to be an MP, I mean, the Army is a great place for young men to go and learn to be disciplined, as long as they can maintain their yeah. Palmetto makes a good point there. With the wokeness that is going on in the military right now because of the grand social experiment, there's a lot of disorganization in the military. I've been out for 3 years, and when I was getting out, I knew it was time. It's like after 25.5 years. But if I hadn't done it, I probably would have taken a different path. The structure and having someone tell me what the mission was and what needs to be done is a great way. Then, I mean, tell him to. Does he follow? I mean, is he doing what the Father wants him to do? Because if he's a man of faith, they definitely need them. But I have brothers in this room that can agree that if you don't mind your faith while you are in the military, you can definitely be in a state of apostasy with the Father. You know, I fought with the Father for 25 years. So, but I grew up in a Big C Christianity church. So, I was learned in the scripture. I knew what it was to be a righteous man and how to do relationships with people, how to stand up for people who weren't strong enough to stand up for themselves. So the discipline and the organization and a purpose. It might not have been Yah's purpose, but I can't really say that because it after 25.5 years, I'm right back here serving the Father. So, but all the other things that young men should be, you know, diligent and have good judgment. I mean, the military is hiring when everybody else, you know, doesn't want to play games. But once they're adults, that's really their call to make. You know, as a parent, you guide them and you tell them, hey, I would or would not recommend this. Or, you know, ask the Father and see what he says. I did a lot of praying and asking my mother, who was, you know, trying to do her best with the Father, what the Father felt, how he felt about military service. And clearly, if you read the scripture, The Father doesn't have an issue with serving in an army or killing people that are unrighteous. So, you give them the best guidance that you can and have them pray about it. And if he wants to join the military, let him join the military. I don't recommend pushing your children away from their inheritance, but gaining life skills, being able to protect oneself and do something else. The military is a great place to get that training. Just, understand that they're all about feelings now. It's like do as I say, not as I do is still very much an issue in the military. It was when I was getting out, as hard as I tried. What? Those are roosters crowing in the background. Yes, when mothers raise men, feelings. Yeah. You can't have feelings if you don't have any. Can't hurt them, right? Feelings. Yeah. When you tell a soldier to get down and do push-ups and they say, "You can't make me do that." Have you lost your mind? You don't know who you're talking to? What's going on here? Yeah, the lack of discipline is crazy. I mean, Desert Jack, the father needs warriors too, right? So if it be his desire, then give me a sign that I should go and do this. I mean, that's definitely a thing. Got warm today, and about 93 today. It was crazy. Oh, and we found a tarantula at work, and my wife hates spiders, so I took a picture of it. I took a video of it and sent it to her. She threatened to start keeping raccoons and possums as pets if I brought that spider home. So yeah. Oh, it was huge. I've not seen a tarantula in Kansas in all the time I've been here. This thing was the size of the palm of my hand. Like, it's like I couldn't miss it when I saw it. You're making a joke and it's not posting. Let's see. I probably have something something held. Yeah, probably. It's probably in my settings. I didn't check to see what my comment settings were, Palmetto. It may be being held for here. All right, Palmetto. You have permission. It's probably being held, Palmetto. I'm not seeing any chat notifications saying that the comments have been held. There's not any clouds today, but we're expecting rain tomorrow. It was cloudy here yesterday, but it's been down in like the 50s at night. So I think winter's coming, and I think that this winter is going to be much harsher than last winter. Shalom. Okay, so yeah, yeah. There you go. If you have a son that needs discipline, send him to a good brother for the summer and let them straighten him out. Mop things that don't need it. How about polishing the latrine walls with baby oil? That makes a lot of sense. It's got to shine, and it can't look greasy. So that was insane. Every night, but the latrine was clean. You didn't have to worry about it not being clean. It was clean. We never swept the parking lot. Hell, we never even swept the drill pad because it was in Oklahoma. So, I mean, the wind blows in Oklahoma. It's Yaw's broom. My wife's been trying to catch the new kittens that we have running around. I came walking out to the barn last night, and she was holding one in her hand. Forcing it to love her is what she calls it, which is essentially how she has caught every single farm cat that lives out here and taken them to the vet and gotten them fixed. So I have 5 kittens from the last litter that need. Oh yeah, I could see that. Got to put gravel down on the snow so you have traction when it turns to ice. Anybody else have anything interesting happening today? Did it sting you? Wow, do we all live that boring a life? That was the excitement of your daycare mode. A honeybee landing on your nose. Well, praise the Father. You have pollinators in your area. Oh, there you go. Pathetic. Okay, so I walked into the Shortstop gas station here in town last night, and I was speaking to one of the local law enforcement officers. He's probably 10 years younger than me, and there was an older gentleman sitting at the table talking with him, and he was talking about how people keep telling him he needs to find himself a good woman or a dog, and he's like, well, I don't want a dog because that means that I'd have to have, I'd have to take it with me, or I'd have to find somebody to take care of it if I wanted to go anywhere. And I was like, yeah, and a good woman is really hard to come by these days. And one of the clerks got all up in her feelings and said, what is that supposed to mean? I was like, well, have you read your Bible? Because that's exactly where you will find what it means to be a good woman. No, no. And so the conversation lasted about 20 minutes, and I had a crowd of people standing there listening to me talk to uh 3 people about what it's like to do relationships in the eyes of the Father. And uh I walked out of the service station, and was just amazed at the fact that people actually wanted to listen, you know. Yes, some of the Seventh Day Adventists, they it depends on the branch that you go to. I have a buddy that lives in northern Wisconsin that they, keep Sabbath on Saturday, but they're still very much into the twisted Pauline doctrine that they seem to think that the Torah was done away with. So, you know, yeah, if they got to put a label on it. When I quit Harley Davidson so that I could maintain my Sabbaths, um, my shop foreman asked me what my religion was, and I told him I read the Bible and I do what it says. And the manager of the store said that he couldn't give me Saturdays off. So I told him, well, consider this my 2 weeks notice because I won't work another Saturday. And I didn't work the following 2 Saturdays during my 2 weeks notice. So pick a hill you're going to die on and stand there until that happens. It's like, you know, if the Father is with us, who could be against us, right? And then I found a job just fell in my lap. I don't work the feast days. I don't work Saturdays, and they work 7 days a week. I go in at noon. I get done at 5:30 in the morning. I can get all my work done on the farm, especially when it's hot as balls outside. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, the right to exercise your religion. It needs a label, and that's a crock of crap. But that's how the government works. And if I'd have made a federal case out of it, which you can, you can make a federal case out of it. Um, but why? If someone can't support me as my employer in my religious conviction, why do I want to work with them after going to court in order to keep my job? That it's easier to go find something else to do. And believe me, if you've got a homestead, you've got plenty to do. And it says for 7 days you shall labor. It doesn't say for 7 days you shall kill yourself. You know, you gotta priorities of work. What needs to be done, and at what level of priority does it need to be done at? Especially when you're raising children. Palmetto knows exactly. We've had this conversation. You know, that's right. You can't take it with you. And I mean, it's just a job. I worked a government contract, and my boss threatened me with my job. And I told him I was looking for a job when I found this one. And he just looked at me like, seriously? It's like, yeah. I mean, when they can't hold something like that over your head, then you essentially took their power from them. Now, granted, when they went from Title 32 to Title 5 at that shop, they did not carry me over Title 5, but that was a blessing from the Father as well, because when I was medically discharged from the military, my government contracting job had to medically discharge me as well. So instead of bringing me back, they closed the doors to that shop uh, this spring. So that shop no longer exists, but I still draw medical retirement from them because you know the Father deemed it so. So the feast ended up in a possible lawsuit. Well, I mean, do you have paid time off? Because most of the feasts, you don't, it's not the whole time. I mean, Sukkot is the first day? Let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 23. On the 15th day of this seventh new moon is the festival of Sukkot for 7 days to Yahweh. On the first day is a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be a set apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. So there's 3 days with the Sabbath in the middle. So you only have to take 3 days off. You don't have to take the whole time. But if you're going to use a leave of absence, that's what you do. But you only need to take 3 Sabbaths off. And yes, I get it. I'm going to Oklahoma for 8 days. I've told my boss I will not be here from this day to this day. I've made arrangements with my wife to take care of the farm while I'm gone because she doesn't want to participate. But that means that I have someone here at the farm that I trust to make sure that everything is done the way it needs to be done. So when she goes on her vacation in March next year for a week, I will be here taking care of the farm. We pick our battles. Eventually, maybe she will join me in the feasts and going places to fellowship with brothers and sisters. But, Bob's going live. Well, I wanted to at least get started. Yeah. What you tolerate, they will embrace. Exercise your freaking no muscle and tell them I'm not going to do this. I will. I don't report my livestock to the government. I don't report my sale of anything to the government. Like there are guidelines that you can work within, the guidelines that are given to make it so that you don't have to do that stuff. Till 6. What are you on the West Coast? Yeah, no kidding there, Palmetto. Pacific Northwest. I lived in Oregon for a time, albeit Eastern Oregon, out by Hell's Canyon. There were a whopping 73 people that lived in the town that I lived in. It was a logging community. Kids used to ride snowmobiles to school, and the school was 15 miles away. Saw some really cool winters. in the Pacific Northwest. Stand on your convictions or stand on y'all's convictions, Desert Jack? Because if I stand on my convictions, I'm going to fuck it up. Here you go. I have found that the more credit I give to Father and the less credit I take for myself, the better things seem to work. Barstow, California does not count as the Pacific Northwest, Palmetto. There's actually trees in the Pacific Northwest. I don't think you call what's out in Barstow, California, actual trees. Oh, so like when you're running across, what is that? I-80 and I-84 in southern Idaho. It's high plains desert. And then the further north you get, the more coniferous it gets. So a lot of lodgepole pines, big pine timber, as you go north in Idaho, and the further west you get. I had to take a soldier to their medical board up in Fort Lewis. That was entertaining. That was 2017. So it wasn't as woke as it is now, but it was still pretty ridiculous. He and they actually still had a mall, an actual shopping mall. I was kind of surprised. we needed to kill some time, and he wanted to go eat at this place, and it was in the mall. So, yeah, and then dude had a metal plate in his head. Really cool soldier, but he had severe memory problems. And apparently he got up in the middle of the night while I was sleeping and went walking down to a gas station to get some stuff and went to go into his hotel room, but he was at the wrong hotel. And then I get a knock on the door at like 3 a.m, and I look out the keyhole and it's him standing there. It's like, what is going on here? New England's beautiful. I drove a truck for a while, and I've been in every state in the lower 48. I lived in Aberdeen, Maryland for a little while I was doing service in the military. I went out there for a school that was about a year long. And we'd take the train up to Philly because one of my soldiers was from Philadelphia. Yeah. Yeah, I dated a girl in New Jersey for a little while I was going to a school in Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania, and she asked me to move to New Jersey. And it's like, I cannot bring the firearms that I own into New Jersey, so that's not going to happen. Needless to say, that relationship ended quickly. Funny how that works. I do my best not to break the Father's laws, but I'm still learning too. So, you know, there's a lot of asking for forgiveness that occurs on a daily basis. Yeah. Somebody asked me about what brought me to the Father, and I was pouring in Babylon, riding motorcycles, and chasing women and drinking and carrying on. And I was on my way to work one day, and a deer ran out in front of me. While I was doing 65 miles an hour on my motorcycle, and I smoked that deer, tore its lungs and its heart out with the bike, shattered my knee, and sat on the side of the road for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes waiting for somebody to stop. Found my phone, called 911. Let them know what had happened, where I was. The funny part about it is the county that I live in was 10 minutes out, and the ambulance service that serviced the county that I was in was 40 minutes away. So I sat there with my shattered knee and looking at my motorcycle in a big heaping pile. And I was the battalion motorcycle mentor on Fort Riley for the Warrior Transition Battalion. And one of my soldiers that was a motorcycle rider was the chaplain. And the chaplain and I had been talking. And after my accident, I started going to Wednesday afternoon Bible study. Yeah. He was from Hawaii. He was a cool chaplain. Not the standard denominational. He was a non-denominational chaplain. So he read the Bible and, did the best he could in the situation that he was in. Right. So every Wednesday for a little over a year, I was in the Word. And then one day I went to visit my little brother, and he was sitting in his garage, and Men's Group Monday live stream was on his television set, and he was streaming it from his phone. And J.A. Dudley was on the screen reading the Word. And I sat there and I listened, and then I ordered a copy of the scriptures and I started reading. And the next Monday, I was over at my brother's, and we were sitting there reading the Word and studying on Men's Group Monday. And that went on for about 3 weeks. And then I hook up with my brother and ask him if he was going to do Men's Group Monday. And he's like, I'm busy. I can't do that. And I was like, after 3 weeks, I was like, why am I leaning on my brother for this? Why am I not just doing it myself? So I started following TJ on Patreon and doing Men's Group Monday. And then I was in the Zoom calls. And then I started going to ATS, and I started doing Grindstone missions. And the more I got into the Word, the less I started leaning on what men were doing, because it wasn't helping. Because we're not what we're supposed to be doing. Oh yeah. Well, I started doing Bible readings on Discord with Palmetto and a bunch of very devout followers who are trying to do the very best that they can. And after we had been out of the Torah for about 8 months, I was like, we need to start getting back into the Torah. It was like, we're reading Paul and you guys don't understand what's being said. We need to get back into the Torah. So we started reading the Torah in the mornings. And yeah, as people find people closer to one another, the members of the group have gotten smaller. I mean, a lot of the people that showed up for the Discord to actually study the scripture, a lot of them are still showing up, and not as frequently as it was. But when you're committed to the Father and you have strong ties in people who are doing their very best and they ground you, right? I have brothers who call me to get advice. I have brothers that I speak to because we just need good men to help ground us, to be a soundboard, because complaining to our wife is not something that we do, right? We don't need to put that burden on our wife. But we need to work it out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in Idabel, Oklahoma, I got baptized again, right? When I was baptized in the Mormon church, I was 8 years old and I didn't have a clue of why I'm doing this. What is the purpose of baptizing children? Very true. You cannot get a second witness in a vacuum or an echo chamber. If you are a good man and your brother comes to you with a problem, you're not there to just let him know that everything's okay. You're supposed to be a righteous judge, right? If he is wrong, you need to correct him. If he's not wrong, then yeah, you're a second witness. But to be a leader, you got to know what right looks like. And that's part of why Proverbs 31 is written, not just for what it looks like to be a wife, but to actually be a follower of Messiah, right? If I'm the head of my house and I'm the bride of Christ, I need to learn how to follow. What does it look like to follow in order to head my house? So yeah, while Proverbs 31, everybody looks at that as just as a way for a woman to be a good wife, but it's also a way for a man to be a good husband. Getting dark. I don't have any power out here yet. By the light of my phone. Gonna have to go put chickens away here in a bit. It takes more than just being a Proverbs 1 through 30 man, Kermode. You've got to be a Proverbs 31 husband too. Palmetto hates it when I say this. But to be a good husband, you got to know what it looks like to be a good wife to Messiah, right? If you're the bride, he is the husband, you are the wife. So if you're not applying what Proverbs 31 looks like as the wife to Christ, then how can you expect to find a wife to be the husband of, right? So, yes, it's only a wife. It's only a wife. And, you know, if he's the bridegroom and you're the bride, you better figure it out. Right? There's a lot of things in Proverbs 31 that as a man you should be doing so that you you deserve that good wife. So, yeah. Well, you know, when he feels you're ready, he will give you what you need. Well, I am don't know. Yes, it does sound emasculating. Even though it's not, it does sound emasculating. And some men, when you tell them they're supposed to figure out what it's like to be a wife to the Messiah, you makes them sound like they're being a bitch. And I get it. Even though that's not what it means. You have to you have to learn how to lead before you can follow. So, and it looks like everybody's jumping to go see Bob. So, I'm going to end it here. But I appreciate you guys showing up, and we'll have to do it again. Shalom.